At my son's wedding, I was exposed as a loser, but what happened next was life-changing. Dave stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, his heart pounding in rhythm with the clinking of champagne glasses. As he surveyed the extravagant setting, the ornate chandeliers twinkling like stars, the plush decorations, and the elegantly dressed guests, he felt like an intruder in a world he didn't belong to. "Look at him, he's just a mechanic," he heard a former classmate whisper, scorn drenching each syllable. It cut deep. Here he was, a single father who'd given everything for his son, Liam, and yet, at this moment, he felt like a failure. All around him, laughter danced through the air, creating an unsettling contrast to the tight knot in his stomach. The wedding was a dream, a beautiful celebration of love. Liam and his stunning bride, Emily, radiated joy. Yet, as Dave watched them, pride twisted into regret. He had worked long hours, wrench in hand, tirelessly providing for Liam. But standing here, surrounded by whispers about his financial struggles, he couldn't shake the feeling of inadequacy. The grand hall and the rolling hills outside magnified his roots. He was an ordinary man in a sea of privilege. A mechanic? What a joke, another voice jeered, sending heat through Dave's face. His heart raced. The gaze of his old classmates stung, their perfectly manicured lives mockingly reminding him of the sacrifices he made. He wished more than anything that he could given Liam everything. The fancy car, the lavish vacations, the status. Instead, he was a mechanic, like it was a scornful label tattooed on his forehead. Just when the anxiety reached its peak and Dave feared he might drown in despair, he felt an internal shift. It was his late brother's voice that echoed in his mind, a decorated veteran with tales of valor and sacrifice, a hero who understood hardship. The familiar warmth flickered against Dave's chest. This wasn't just about him. It was about family. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the festivities rolled on, Dave mustered the courage to grab Liam and Emily's hands. He couldn't hold back any longer. The crowd fell silent as he shared the incredible story of his brother, the laughter, the bond they had, and the legacy of resilience that defined their family. With each word, the tension lifted like fog under the sun, revealing shared stories of struggles and triumphs among those he thought were far removed from his life. Gradually, snickers turned into nods and disdain morphed into empathy. Tears glistened along with laughter, stories of pain and growth shared amidst the glimmering surroundings. In that moment, Dave realized, wealth doesn't define worth, and every person in that room had battles they fought. But just as he felt the warmth of camaraderie, a familiar question echoed in his mind. Would this connection fade as quickly as it formed? Would people still see him as just a mechanic after tonight? The evening brimmed with a blend of hope and uncertainty, leaving Dave teetering on the brink of a new beginning. Who was he truly, and would he ever escape the shadow of those labels? Just as Dave's thoughts spiraled, a burst of applause cut through the sea of chatter. Liam and Emily had just shared their first dance, gliding across the floor like they were the only two people in the room. Their laughter echoed around him, softening the harsh edges of his earlier feelings. There was something remarkably beautiful about the glow of happiness surrounding the newlyweds. As he watched them, Dave's heart swelled with pride. This was what he had worked for, this moment of pure joy for Liam. Yet, the applause faded too quickly, replaced by a wave of insecurity. If those whispers were still lurking, he couldn't let them pull him back down. For the first time, he decided to take action. He straightened his shoulders, shook off the lingering shame, and took a deep, steadying breath. "Excuse me," he said to the guests nearest him. The words barely escaped his mouth, but they felt triumphant nonetheless. He stepped closer to the dance floor, determination sparking within. Every heartbeat fueled a growing courage as he approached Liam and Emily. "Can I have a dance with my son?" Dave asked, smiling wide. The couple exchanged glances, the warmth in their eyes centered on him. Liam grinned and nodded, pulling his dad into the embrace, shouting, "Let us do it!" as they set foot on the unmarred floor. As they began to dance, clumsy but joyful, the crowd erupted in cheers. Clinks of glasses became supportive rhythms to their movement. The criticism that earlier hung in the air changed into laughter, and soon everyone was dancing one after the other. In those moments spent exchanging goofy twirls and heartfelt embraces, Dave felt alive again. Satisfaction mixed with joy, swirling within him like the very music that filled the air. But even amidst the laughter, doubt gnawed at the edges of his consciousness. How long would this feeling last? He noticed conversations around him shift back and forth, from excitement to his past, his job, the murmurs starting to whirl like whispers behind him. Caught in the moment, he spun Liam around, and as they shared a laugh, he realized it was all about memories, making every second count. Moments like this didn't stem from wealth but from love and connection. The realization surged a warm glow through him. Maybe he wouldn't escape certain labels entirely, but he could redefine what those labels meant for him. The music changed to something slow and soft, and with emotion that felt intuitively right, he took a step back from the crowd. He pulled Emily into their dance, inviting her to the warm connection he felt. "You have a great dad," she said, her voice tender. "He really loves you." Tears pricked at the edges of Dave's eyes, but at the same time, each word was a balm to his soul. He realized he didn't need others' validation to be proud of who he was: a father, a mechanic, and a man who had fought his way through life. Yet, just as doubt began to fade, he overheard a curious conversation that drew his attention. "Did you hear about the big partnership in the works for the dealership?" someone said. "I heard things are changing." Suddenly, intrigue crept over him. Was there more to this story? Could a mechanic like him get back on the map? Uncertainty clawed at him again, but this time it came wrapped in a glimmer of hope. What on earth was happening behind the scenes that could shift everything he believed about his life? There was only one way to find out. As the slow melody enveloped him and the warmth of Emily's kindness lingered, Dave felt a sudden jolt of determination break through the cloud of doubts. He needed to dig deeper into those whispers he heard, to figure out what was truly happening with the dealership. Liam's laughter floated like an echo around him, reminding him of the love that surrounded them. Taking a step back from the dance, he put a gentle hand on Emily's shoulder. "Thanks for the dance, Emily. You just gave me the boost I needed," he said, stepping aside to let the couple take center stage again. He glanced around the room, trying to focus on the chatter that only moments ago had felt so heavy. He spotted a familiar figure by the bar. It was George, a longtime dealer and friend, nursing a drink and chatting animatedly about cars with some colleagues. Dave's heart raced. George always had the inside scoop. This was his chance. He made his way to the small circle that had formed around George. "Hey, George," he called, his voice rising over the noise. George turned, his eyes widening slightly with surprise before settling into a warm smile. "Dave, glad to see you here. I heard you were dancing with the bride and groom, huh?" "Yeah, just trying to make the most of the moment," Dave replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "Listen, I couldn't help but overhear something about a partnership. What's going on?" George glanced over his shoulder as if checking for eavesdroppers. "Well, it's in the works. You know, we've been struggling with inventory. They're looking to bring in a larger team, maybe some new faces, people who think outside the box." Dave felt a spark of hope. "And you think that includes?" "Could be. The dealership has some serious potential, and they want to make a statement," George said, his voice lowered. "You ever thought about pitching in? You've got a good handle on the mechanics. People trust you." Dave paused. A mix of excitement and anxiety fluttered in his chest. He had been putting all his energy into being a supportive father, ensuring Liam's day was perfect. But now the thought of stepping back into the game, of being recognized as more than just a mechanic, welled up within him. "Yeah, I've thought about it," he replied, his voice steadying. "But those whispers about me being a loser, they still haunt me, man. It gets hard to shake. What others think doesn't define you, Dave. You know that," George reassured him. "And honestly, people respect hard work in this field. If the opportunity comes, and it will, you need to be ready to grab it." A wave of resolve washed over Dave. This moment served as a reminder that he was so much more than the labels other people cast upon him. As the music shifted once again, he looked back to see Liam and Emily wrapped in each other's arms, overflowing with love and support. This wasn't just for him, it was for everyone around him. "Thanks, George. I think I might just need to get in touch with the right people, huh?" Dave said. a small smile creeping onto his face. Absolutely. I'll keep my ear to the ground. George raised his glass in goodwill. Returning to dance, Dave felt lighter. But as the celebration continued, he caught sight of a figure stepping into the venue, a tall man in a sharp suit, a stranger with an air of authority. Whispers rippled through the guests as he made his way toward the newlyweds. Who was this man? With his heart pounding again, Dave realized that the possibility for change, for redemption, was teetering on the edge of this whirlwind celebration. What role would this mysterious newcomer play on this momentous day? Would it change everything for him? While the festive atmosphere buzzed around him, Dave felt an unsettling chill come over him. The laughter and conversation of the guests, once comforting, now seemed to pulse with an anxious rhythm. The man in the suit continued to draw attention, his presence like a magnet, pulling curious eyes and whispered speculations toward him. What's the deal with that guy? Dave heard someone murmur nearby. Don't know, but they say he's heading up a big firm in town. Another voice chimed in. He's looking to make investments, and I heard he's got a keen eye for talent. Dave's heart sank a little deeper. A whirlwind of thoughts tangled in his mind. Was this man connected to the dealership negotiations? Could he bring in a different kind of change, one that Dave wasn't quite ready for? As if on cue, the man's gaze swept across the room, meeting Dave's for an electric moment. There was something familiar about that look, an unspoken recognition that made the air crackle. Dave quickly averted his eyes, seeking refuge in the warmth of Liam and Emily. They looked so happy, lost in each other, and at that moment, a fierce protectiveness surged within him. He knew he had two choices: to stay in his comfortable corner, letting shadows of self-doubt wrap around him, or to step into the light, embracing whatever potential lay beyond that dance floor. The thrill of possibility battled with the weight of fear. Taking a deep breath, he found himself moving through the crowd, compelled by forces within that had been dormant for far too long. The music played like a heartbeat, matching the rhythm of his resolve. As he approached the bar, he noticed George nodding toward him, a gesture of encouragement. Dave, you look like you're about to do something big, George teased, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Yeah, I think I need to talk to that guy, Dave said, his voice steadying. Go for it. You know, if anyone can turn those whispers around, it's you. As he stood before the stranger, the energy shifted. The man exuded confidence, but there was something more in understanding, a recognition of hard work and resilience. Can I help you? The man asked, his voice resonating with authority. Yeah. I'm Dave. I heard you're involved with some changes at the local dealership. His words felt small, but he pressed on. I might be someone who could contribute. The stranger raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That's so? Tell me more about yourself, Dave. In that moment, Dave felt the weight of memories, years spent under the hood, solving problems, earning trust. He took a breath, his heart racing but with excitement now instead of dread. I've been a mechanic for years, but I've got ideas. I know this community and I know cars. I believe we can do better, bring fresh energy to the dealership. The man crossed his arms, considering. Bold words. But in a competitive market, what separates you from the rest? The questions weren't designed to belittle him. They were a challenge. After all, this man was a key to a door that could lead to change that Dave craved. I see potential everywhere. It's about more than just sales. It's about relationships, Dave answered, his voice gaining strength. People want to feel valued, and I can help create that connection. For the first time in his adult life, Dave was truly advocating for himself. And through that courage, he opened a door within the stranger's gaze that hinted at opportunity. As the man considered his words, the music swelled behind them, a backdrop to this pivotal moment. Dave felt something shift. Let us talk more, the man finally said with a smirk. His demeanor changed, and he gestured toward a quieter corner. I think we might have a lot to discuss. Dave followed, his heart beating with newfound hope. This could be the beginning, the chance to redefine not just who he was, but who he might become. But as they moved away from the crowd, the whispers of doubt began to swirl again, nagging him. What if this was all a mirage? What if he failed yet again? As they found their way into the dimly lit corner of the venue, conversation drifted seamlessly around them, but Dave felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them. The murmurs of crowd dissipating gave way to a palpable tension, anticipation hanging in the air. What's your vision for the dealership? the man asked, leaning in slightly. His attention was intense, as if every word mattered. Dave swallowed hard, the weight of the question pressing down on him. I see a place where people don't just get a car. They get a partner in the journey. I want to build trust, not just sell but serve. The words came out more fervently than he expected, a surprise even to himself. The man nodded thoughtfully, a slight smile creeping onto his face. Interesting. Most people see numbers, you see people. That's a rare trait. Encouraged, Dave expanded on his ideas, describing how he envisioned community events, bringing in local artists to showcase their work, hosting car clinics to educate the public on maintenance. As he spoke, he could see the flicker of interest in the man's eyes and the shift of his posture. It was invigorating, like a surge of electricity. But as he outlined his dreams, creeping uncertainty snuck back in. Was he thinking too big? He glanced at the man, who was now fully engaged. Yet Dave's heart thundered, what if this was just a fleeting moment? What's the catch? Dave blurted out, surprising even himself with the audacity of his question. There was a second's pause, but the man laughed lightly, shrugging his shoulders. Good to see you're asking the right questions. But let's be clear. There are always challenges in turning visions into reality. You seem ready for it. His directness wrapped around Dave like a reassuring blanket. I think I am, Dave said, though the doubt still clung to him like a shadow. I want you to meet some people, the man suggested, his tone shifting to one of commitment. We can set up some meetings. I know a few investors who might be interested in a fresh approach. They want to know what makes you tick. Investors? Dave's excitement surged but collided with anxiety. Sounds like a big deal. What if they're not interested? Then they're not interested. But you have to put yourself out there. That's where growth happens. A moment of clarity broke through the fog of uncertainty that enveloped him. You're right. I just need to speak my truth, even if it scares me. Exactly, the man said, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Step out of your comfort zone, and you'll be amazed at what you might find. Just then the music changed to a slow, soulful tune, and laughter floated from the dance floor where Liam and Emily were lost in their own world. Dave felt a rush of warmth, a reminder of what matters. That community, those relationships were worth the leap. All right, Dave said, determination setting in. Let us do this. But as the man pulled out his phone to set up a meeting, golden opportunities sparking in his mind, Dave's phone buzzed in his pocket. He hesitated, frowning at the screen. It was a message from his mother, an urgent request, one that sent ice through his veins. Dave, he said, his voice hardly a whisper. I have to take this. He stepped away, heart racing for a different reason now. The stakes suddenly felt higher. What if this call changed everything, pulling him from this moment of promise back into the chaos he was trying to escape? What did she need? If it was urgent, would it jeopardize everything he had just built? Dave stepped away from the man, trying to mask his anxiety as he focused on the text message lighting up his phone. His mother's words were short but heavy. We need to talk. It's important. Those 3 words felt like a storm warning. He glanced back, catching a glimpse of the man's eager eyes. Options swirled in his mind. Was it selfish to step back from this potentially life-changing opportunity? But his mother needed him. The sweet melodies of the venue faded as he took a few deep breaths, trying to find his center again. Dave? The voice of the man slipped through his thoughts, pulling him back. You okay? Yeah, just. He rubbed the back of his neck, feeling the tension coil there. I need to take this call. Sure, no problem. Just remember to breathe. There was understanding in the man's eyes, but Dave barely had the energy to smile back. He found a quieter alcove near the bar. The ambient sounds of laughter and music replaced with a slight echo that bounced off the walls. Dave dialed his mother's number, his stomach churning as he listened to the ringing. Hey Mom, he said when she picked up, trying to keep his voice steady. Dave, she rushed, the worry in her tone palpable. It's about your father. His heart skipped a beat. What about him? He's been having some health issues. The doctor is concerned and wants to meet with us. The words hung heavy in the space between them. Is it serious? I don't know, honey. He didn't want to worry you, but I think we should go together. Dave's shoulders slumped as urgency washed over him. His father had always been so strong. The thought of him unwell frightened Dave. The pursuit of his dreams seemed minor compared to the potential loss of a parent. "Course I'll be there. When do we meet the doctor?" "Tomorrow morning," she said softly. "At the clinic." "Okay. I'll drive us," he promised, though he felt the weight of the world compressing him as he hung up. A sense of dread settled in. This was not just about his father's health, this was about family. It was about returning to a place he often dreaded but also loved. He could sense the whole swelling of emotions. Fear, love, conflict. He could feel the energy of the crowd pulling him back to the bustling room. The man he had spoken to moments before was still there, chatting with another attendee. The smell of delicious appetizers wafted through the air, mixing with the sounds of laughter. Should he go back? Share the news? Or would it pull him away from the opportunities blooming before him? Dave felt torn, the dealership idea now weighing against the gravity of family duty. As he started to retrace his steps, he caught a glimpse of Liam and Emily dancing, lost in a moment of joy. Their carefree laughter filled him with a longing he couldn't quell. "Hey!" shouted Liam, spotting him. "You good?" "Yeah, I'm okay," Dave replied, forcing a smile. "Just a family thing." Liam nodded, a knowing look flickering in his eyes. "Gotcha. Family first, right?" Right, yet the pang of disappointment tugged at him. Dave took a deep breath, feeling his gut clench. Tomorrow he would navigate the doctor's office, but tonight he had to decide. There was no escape from facing the current or thrusting himself closer to the dreams swirling just out of reach as he stood there. The music changed, a lively tune igniting the dance floor again. The moment of truth was close. Could he blend both worlds, family and his ambition, without losing himself in the process? The stage was set for an uncomfortable confrontation, and he didn't know if he was ready for it. But one thing was certain, something had to give. Would he face his past just when his future felt so bright? The buzz of vibrant laughter spilled into the alcove where Dave stood. Beneath the surface energy, uncertainty churned in him. He was caught between the pulse of a dream and the weight of family obligation. Yet as he glanced out at the dance floor, scattered shadows began to melt into bright flashes of color, the world celebrating around him while he felt so small. With a heavy sigh, he turned away from the joyful chaos. His heart raced. A knot tightened in his stomach, reminding him of the responsibilities waiting in the hours to come. He stepped out of the alcove intending to find Liam and Emily, needing the comfort of friends, afraid to face the night alone. As he approached them, Emily noticed his subdued demeanor. "Hey, where did you run off to?" she asked, her voice warm yet curious. "Just had to take a call," Dave said, forcing another smile to mask the storm brewing inside him. "What's up?" Liam asked, his gaze sharp as he could see through the facade. "Not much. Just family stuff," Dave replied, and he could see the understanding dawn in their expressions. It was a silent acknowledgement, a collective sigh of knowing life was often far from simple. They resumed their dancing, the laughter booming around them, but Dave felt out of sync, like a musician playing the wrong note. It was overwhelming, and he needed a moment to breathe. "Can I grab a drink?" he asked. "Yeah, sure. We'll stay right here," Emily promised, her eyes dancing with the music as he stepped away. The melt of emotions he had just been trying to shake off crashed over him again. He maneuvered through the crowd, glancing at the chandeliers flickering above, each glow serving as a reminder of the lightness everyone else seemed to embrace. Dave leaned against the bar, tapping his fingers on the polished wood, hoping to drown out the mix of thoughts but feeling each moment intensify. All around him, people gathered, sharing stories, laughter echoing in the air, a tapestry made of hopes and nothing before, while he stood still in the center of it. "Another rough night?" The bartender flashed a knowing smile as he poured a drink. "Something like that," Dave shrugged, taking the glass with a hint of gratitude. "Sometimes you just gotta let go. Life's too short to hold on to all that," the bartender advised with sincere eyes. Dave nodded, recognizing the simple truth in that remark. He glanced around, watching couples sway, friends shout over the music. It reminded him of what he had left behind in his hometown, the warmth of gatherings and the comfort of just being present. But what did it mean to be present when your mind was racing with worries about the future? He took a sip of his drink, letting the coolness touch his fluttering stomach, steering him towards clarity at least for a moment. Deciding that clarity was what he needed, Dave moved back to the dance floor, seeking a distraction from what awaited him. He caught Liam's eye and waved, feeling a surge of determination. Perhaps approaching his father's situation with more courage would change everything that felt so uncertain. As he stepped into the crowd, Emily danced forward, drawing him into their laughter. The weight of his worries faded a little, wrapped in the lightness of their spirits. The music pumped louder, filling his heart with a rhythm he could keep up with at least for tonight. But just as he lost himself in a moment of joy, his phone buzzed again, cutting sharply through the celebration. His breath caught in his throat. He hesitated, knowing it could be his mother, needing him once more. Would this moment of connection be enough for him to embrace the fears of tomorrow? Or would he drown in the tumult, losing sight of the dreams he'd chased so hard to grasp? As he fumbled for the phone, the deep buzz echoed his heart, building the tension of what was to come. Would he have the strength to confront his father's health issues, knowing deep down it was so much more? Dave glanced down at the phone in his hand. The screen lit up with his mother's name, all urgency and warmth packed into a single moment. He hesitated, caught between the joy of the dance floor and the reality waiting on the other side of that call. The music around him pulsed, heavy and bright, but suddenly it felt muffled, distant. He stepped out of the crowd, pulling himself towards a quieter corner, taking a deep breath as he answered, "Mom." His voice came out steadier than he felt. "Dave. Thank goodness you picked up." Her voice rang through, laced with both excitement and worry. "Your father, he forgot to take his meds again. I don't think he is doing well." With every word, Dave's heart sank. The laughter from the nearby dance floor felt mocking in that moment. "Mom, I'm still out. Is there any way we can wait until tomorrow?" he asked, knowing it was a weak plea. "No, sweetheart. He needs you." "I can't do this alone," she replied, a tremor seeping into her voice. The knot in his stomach tightened again. He knew she was right. This wasn't just about his father forgetting to take his meds. It was about the invisible weight of the last few months pressing down on their family. "Okay, I'll come over," he said, each word feeling more like a band-aid over a wound rather than a solution. "Thank you. I love you," she said, relief washing over her tone. As he ended the call, the party around him snapped back into focus. Laughter erupted nearby, couples twirling and spinning. The energy ebbed and flowed like waves. But it only heightened the ache inside. Choosing to dance among friends felt meaningless now. Liam and Emily found him leaning against the wall, a shadow of the carefree person they'd seen moments before. "Everything okay?" Emily asked, concern painted on her delighted features. "Not really," Dave admitted, leaning his head back against the wall, the coolness grounding him. "I have to go home. It's Dad. Things are getting worse." Liam frowned, his brow furrowing. "Do you need us to go with you?" Dave shook his head, a tight smile forming. "No, I need to handle this one myself." "Do you want to talk about it?" Emily's voice was soft, a reminder of the support he had around him even now. "I don't know. It's just hard. I want to be there for him." He paused, looking around at the joyful chaos, feeling ever so small again. "But I can't shake this feeling like I'm not enough." Liam started stepping closer. "You're more than enough. You're there, and that's what matters." Taking a deep breath, Dave felt something shift slightly within him. Perhaps this wasn't just a burden to carry, but rather an opportunity to step up, to reconnect with not only his father but his entire family. "Thanks, guys. Truly. I have to go." As he moved towards the exit, the temptation to turn back swelled within him. There was part of him that wanted to stay, to dance, to forget everything for just a little longer. But as he stepped outside, the cool night air washed over him like a balm. Driving home, he couldn't shake thoughts of his father's face, the struggles behind his eyes. Would he find the strength to be the son his dad needed? Or would he succumb to self-doubt, wishing things were different? The road stretched ahead, illuminated by streetlights, yet his heart felt clouded with uncertainty. At that moment, the weight of the world collided with the flicker of hope inside him. Maybe being there was the first step, but could he actually break through everything standing between them? As he pulled into the driveway and shut off the engine, he sat there for a moment, heart racing with possibility and fear. Would he discover the truth about his father's condition, and what that meant for their relationship? The answer loomed just beyond the door, waiting to be uncovered. Dave sat in the car, fingers drumming on the steering wheel, while shadows danced across the driveway. The big oak tree loomed above the house, its branches swaying gently in the breeze, somehow reminding him of the resilience and strength he hoped to channel tonight. Taking a deep breath, he finally turned the door handle, stepping out into the cool night air with a determination that felt both foreign and comforting. He moved toward the front door, each step heavy with dread. What would he even say? Would his father even recognize him? The last few months had warped their connection, and he felt like a stranger in his own home. As he rang the doorbell, his stomach twisted, a mix of anxiety and anticipation coiling within him. "Dave!" His mother flung the door open, her relief palpable. She wrapped her arms around him, and he sank into the embrace, feeling the warmth dissolve some of his tension. "I'm so glad you're here." "Your father he's in the living room." He nodded, swallowing hard. "How is he?" "Still struggling," she replied, stepping back though her hands lingered on his shoulders, searching his face for reassurance. "He keeps saying he's fine, but I know he's not." With a deep breath, Dave stepped inside the house that felt both familiar and foreign. The living room smelled like old wood and the fading perfume of his childhood. He glanced around, noting the piles of magazines his dad had once read cover to cover, now untouched relics of a man who was retreating into shadows. "Son." His father's voice filtered in from the living room, thick and hesitant. Dave's heart raced. He hadn't heard that voice in what felt like ages. When he entered the room, he found his father slumped in a chair, staring blankly at an old baseball game playing on the television. The sight struck him like a punch. The vibrant man he remembered, the one who'd always been the life of the party, seemed reduced to a shadow of himself. "Hey, Dad." Dave's voice was barely above a whisper. His father turned slowly, the corners of his mouth lifting slightly, but the spark in his eyes was dim. "Dave? You're home?" "Yeah," Dave replied, forcing a smile. As he crossed the room, the distance between them felt daunting. "Mom called. She said you've been struggling." "It's nothing, just tired." His father waved a hand dismissively, though the tremor in it betrayed him. "Let us talk," Dave urged, settling on the edge of the coffee table. "I want to know how you really are." The silence stretched between them like a canyon, and Dave felt every unspoken word thickening the air. Finally, his father sighed, his gaze falling to the floor. "Sometimes it's overwhelming. I wish I could fix it, but I don't know how. I feel like I'm being a burden." "Dad," Dave said, leaning closer, "you're not a burden. I want to help." His father shifted in his seat, the honesty pulling at the corners of his mouth, fighting battle against vulnerability. "I always wanted to be strong for you, but sometimes I feel so alone." The confession hung in the air, electrifying the atmosphere. Just like that, Dave felt the distance between them begin to dissolve. Here, in this moment, brotherhood swelled, a connection rekindled by shared truth. "None of us are alone," Dave murmured, fighting back tears. "We're a family, and we'll figure this out together." His father finally looked up, tears glistening in the corners of his eyes. "I'm scared, Dave." "Me too," Dave admitted, the honesty breaking over him like a wave. "But being scared doesn't mean we face it alone." As they sat together in the warmth of that unassuming room, silence wrapping around them like a comforting blanket, Dave realized how essential this moment was. It was the beginning of something new, the chance to rebuild their relationship brick by brick. Then the door swung open with a creaking sound, and a wave of voices flooded in. Dave's heart skipped. He wasn't sure if he was ready for them to encounter this side of his dad. But at that moment, a spark of defiant hope ignited within him. As the voices got closer, one question buzzed in his mind. How would they react to this new chapter in their family's story? "Hey, we're back," Liam called out, kicking off a wave of excitement as he and Emily entered, arms laden with snacks and drinks. The atmosphere shifted, filling with laughter and bright chatter, that for a moment made the weight of Dave's earlier doubts feel light. He felt a smile creeping onto his face, catching his father's eye. There was a hesitation on his dad's part, eyes flickering between the jubilant youth and profound memories. Dave's heart raced. How would he navigate this thin line between celebration and the reality of his father's fight? Liam bounded forward, arms wide open. "Hey, Grandpa! Look what we brought." He poured out a bag of treats and sparkling drinks, laughter spilling from his lips like sunshine. Emily followed suit, her cheerful energy filling the room. "Hey, Liam," his father murmured, the edges of his mouth lifting slightly. It was a smile altogether different from the ones Dave cherished growing up, a fragile attempt to reconnect. Want something to eat? Liam's enthusiasm was contagious. His father's gaze softened further while he glanced between the joyous chaos and the gathering of empty dishes in the corner of the room. Sure, I wouldn't mind a snack. It wasn't a huge statement, but Dave felt a rush of triumph. A step forward. As laughter echoed off the walls, Dave slipped into the background, a guardian watching over this newfound connection. He leaned against the doorframe, feeling the warmth of family wrap around him. Liam, tell us more about the dance. Emily encouraged, her voice bright. Liam beamed, recounting their silly moments on the dance floor. His enthusiasm was infectious, words spilling over like a bubbling stream, and Dave's father leaned in, showing just a hint of that old sparkle as he listened. It was a light in the shadow, a glimpse of resilience that flickered with each shared laughter. But Dave's heart still weighed heavy with the conversation he'd had with his dad earlier. Those currents pulling him down, reminding him of lingering fears and uncertainties. What if this is temporary? He thought, biting his lip. Dad, he took a step forward, gathering the courage to shift back to the earlier moment. Can we try something? Can we talk about everything together? The laughter around them faded into a hush. Everyone turned to him, curiosity lighting up their faces. His father's brow furrowed slightly, but the warmth of Liam's and Emily's presence seemed to soothe him. Yeah, okay. What do you want to talk about? I think we should share how we really feel. All of us. Looking to his father, he felt a surge of resolution in the depth of what often felt murky. It's hard, but being honest is the first step, right? His father looked down, contemplating, and the room seemed to hold its breath. I guess it is, he finally whispered. Liam squared his shoulders, his voice steady. We're here for you, Grandpa. We want to help. Emily nodded, leaning close to her future father-in-law. You've always been there for us. Let us return the favor. In that moment that felt electric, Dave saw the flickers of confidence and hope starting to sprout in his father's eyes, matching how he felt stepping forward into possibility. "Okay," he finally said, his voice thick and soft. "I'll try. I'm just scared." "That's okay. We all are," Dave replied, stepping closer. "But you don't have to be alone in it anymore." The atmosphere shifted and laughter wafted like music around them, each word weaving everything closer together. "Let us make it a family discussion," Liam suggested, eyes bright with ideas. "We can write down how we feel, what we want, and how we're gonna tackle things together. Like a family mission." Emily chimed in, a spark in her eyes. Excitement bubbled and Dave's heart swelled. Something was shifting both within him and around him. This was more than just a dance. It was a step forward, a new beginning punctuated by warmth and connection. As they settled into a circle on the floor, their creativity bouncing between them, the worries that had hexed him faded into the background. They weren't just family, they were team. At that moment, Dave felt the spirit of his brother, as if he were nodding. He wasn't being defined by the weight of the past, but lifted by the promise of what was to come. The hours turned to moments, the laughter blossoming into joy, and above all, the truth nestled closer to their hearts: their family could weather even the fiercest storms together. Dave leaned back, eyes glistening, heart full. In a single evening, lost possibilities morphed into growth and connection. Strength blossomed among them, lifting shadows into sunlight. He realized they wouldn't just face the future. They'd embrace it together as a stronger unit. In the end, it wasn't about merely reopening an old door. It was about creating a home, a new one where dreams live and love flourishes. And just like that, the final crescendo of laughter echoed throughout the space, peeling back any lingering doubts. This was the moment of truth. With courage igniting in his heart, Dave understood this would lead him to the dreams he believed were not meant for someone like him. This was an opportunity to thrive not just as a mechanic, but as a man, a father, and a son. A life transformed. You need to subscribe now to follow Dave and families like his on their transformational journeys. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment below and share your feelings about this uplifting ending. Your words matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Together, let us celebrate resilience and love.